Hello guys, today we'll be talking about arrows, not the superhero Green Arrow because no one cares about Green Arrow. If you do care, I'm sorry, Hawkeye is better. No, I'm kidding. Basically, Hypixel Skyblock, they added new arrows, so I'll be talking about them. Which is the best arrow to use? I will tell you. I do have one in mind, but I'm not sure if it's actually the best until I test it in the video. But before we go down here and talk to this guy, this handsome looking fellow, we gotta buy ourselves a bow, okay? A bow that shoots fast. This is a bow that shoots fast and costs only 600 coins. But if you do have a Juju bow already, or a Terminator, you rich kid, you don't have to buy this. But if you don't have a Juju bow or Terminator, you have to buy it for the target practice. Because you can't do the target practice without it. If you can, I don't know what hacks you have installed because I don't think using a rune and shooting these lanterns are gonna work, okay? Basically, you have to come right here, step on the pressure plate, and shoot the lanterns within a certain time limit, and then you're done, okay? There's a lot of lanterns. I suck at this because I suck at FPS games, so I shoot pretty slowly. Let's see if we can get 12 seconds. Okay, 11 seconds. I'm missing one. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's 14 seconds. My highest score is 12.3 seconds for some reason, but it's gonna require you to finish it within 12 seconds for the third trial. But once you finish the 3 trials, you can talk to Jax and compliment his nose because he's cool. Look at this. His nose is amazing, dude. But yeah, you gotta compliment his nose first before opening the menu. I'm kidding. You don't have to do that. But basically you right click him once you're finished with the trials, and basically he sells you a bunch of arrows. The first thing is an arrow swapper. This is only convenient if you have multiple arrows in your quiver bag. It's very useful because you can switch between arrows. I'm gonna switch back to the flint arrow because we're not gonna use the other ones yet. Okay, so we got the flint arrow, which is the very basic one, which costs only money to buy. Very cheap. These other ones require materials, and they're relatively cheap. All of them are pretty cheap. Even the enchanted cactus green, it might seem like a lot of money for the Nansorb arrow, because enchanted cactus green, you would think, wow, that's expensive. Or the enchanted sand, that's expensive. No, it's not that expensive. If you go to the bazaar, let's go buy some enchanted sand. Let's create buy order of 7. Let's see how much it costs. It would cost me 3,000 for only 7. And let's check the enchanted cactus green. It's not even that expensive to buy these arrows. It's just annoying that you have to go back and forth to refill your bag, because they also nerfed infinite quiver. So if you have infinite quiver 10, you're wondering why your arrows are disappearing. It's because they nerfed it from 100% to 30%. I think it's 30%. But yeah, you can't just save all your arrows because you have infinite quiver. You have to actually use your arrows wisely, or you can spam it and just come back to Jax and buy more from him. He's just getting paid at this point, you know? He's just making money off you guys using your arrows. It's fine, because I would give money to this guy. This guy, he deserves the money. But basically, yeah, they're relatively the same price, okay? In terms of material, yeah, same price. So if you have access to the emerald tip arrow, you should go for that. That's very basic, plus 20 damage. But if you have the collection and the combat skill, you should go for the icy arrow. What do I mean by combat skill and collection? Basically, it doesn't show you that you need a certain combat skill or collection. Maybe it does because you haven't unlocked it yet, but I have unlocked a lot of combat skills and collection. So there are requirements to using these arrows, okay? So maybe the best for you isn't the best I'm talking about, because you can't access the best one I'm talking about. So we go to the quiver bag. Let me show you. So the bouncy arrow, it requires you combat skill 20 and slime ball collection 7. So I'm just gonna slowly browse through these so that you can see if you have unlocked these collections, also unlock these combat skills to use these arrows, because you can't just be buying these arrows and be like, oh shoot, I can't use it anymore, and then you'll be very sad and depressed. But yeah, these are all the requirements. This one's pretty easy, Spider Slayer 3. Okay, it's not that easy for some people that are beginning, but yeah, I'm pretty sure Nansorb arrow is probably the hardest one to get because it requires combat 25. It's not the best though. It's not necessarily the best because it requires you combat skill 25. But the best one I'm talking about should be the icy arrow, okay? And it only requires combat skill 21. And I'll tell you why. It's very simple. The damage plus 24. But the Nansorb, it has a piercing effect, which also makes it maybe do a decent amount of damage. These arrows all have a use, okay? Some of them is just weird, but some of them definitely has a use. But basically, you shouldn't go for these if you can go for the icy arrows. The first 5 arrows, you don't go for them. You rather go for the icy arrow because it does plus 24 damage. It's easily stronger than this emerald tip arrow, which is 20 damage. And it also has an additional passive to slow people. And it's also no cooldown on the slowness, so you can be slowing them for 3 seconds. But it has infinite it doesn't have a cooldown, so you're basically slowing them forever. So this is very good to get, okay? If you can, must get this over these 5. But let's compare the other arrows, okay? We're going to show some damage, okay? We're going to show some damage. Let me just use the power of video editing and teleport myself to the Crypto area. Woo, magic! We are finally here. So let's just test out some of these arrows. We are going to test out Nansorb. To use Nansorb, you have to have piercing because what it does is it replaces piercing with a new effect. And I feel like maybe Nansorb isn't that good, but we'll see. We'll see. It does more damage if there's more victims. Basically, this is very good. Jax told me not to share these arrows. Wait, what? What's happening? I don't know what I clicked on, but something happened. Something happened. Something happened. I mean, I don't know what happened there. Okay, let's focus on the video, okay? So Nansorb arrow. It's only good if your enemies are in a straight line, so you can hit multiple targets. Let's test this out. Okay, let's see how much damage it does, okay? I feel like Nansorb arrow might be as good as an icy arrow, but we'll see. Let's see. Let's line them up a bit. It's very hard to line them up, okay? Okay, that's not one we want to see. What about this? Okay, that I just don't want I want to see the damage. Come on. All right, let's see how much damage that does. 5,400. 5,400, 5,400. See, the second target takes more damage. Or is it because this guy has more armor? I don't think it's because this guy has more armor. Let's just test it on these guys, okay? Okay. Line it up. Okay, we're not lining it up correctly. Okay, right there, right there. Let's just line up. This is why this arrow is not that useful. It's only good for terracottas. I feel like this arrow is good for, like, terracottas because they're usually lined up. So let's go do that. I can't see. 5,000 something too. Let's do this again. Alright, it just does more damage the more you hit. Like the second target, it took like 400 damage extra. Okay, let's test out the icy arrow. Icy arrow. This is my favorite arrow. 6,900. Alright. That's a lot of damage. Wait, let's see how much piercing does. Okay, piercing does less. Alright, it seems like the skewer ability is much better than the piercing's ability because piercing, it hits the second target, but the second target takes reduced damage. But with skewer, the second target, and third target, and fourth target, and fifth target takes extra damage from the first target. It's good for situations where there's a lot of mobs lined up, like terracottas. Like I keep on saying, this is for the terracottas. This is mainly for terracottas or any like situation where mobs are lined up, and that's usually never the case. Unless they like start attacking you as a group. But the only thing I can think of is floor 6. Floor 6, Nansorb arrow, boss, very useful. But icy arrow does more damage as a single target attack. So look at that, 6,900, 6,900. But if we do go back to the Nansorb, the second target takes 5,400. So if it is the fifth target, it might do more than the icy arrow. But it's more consistent just using the icy arrow because you rarely get to line up the mobs like that. So, icy arrow, I gotta favor it. It's just so much better than the other arrows. Because it does damage and also have a nice passive. And then we got the glue arrow. It does a decent amount of damage. But I feel like this arrow is really good if you're a tank or healer. Because it's more of like a supporty type of arrow. Basically, it slows the enemy. Well, it doesn't even slow the enemy. Okay, so icy arrow, right? It slows the enemy. This one, it stuns the enemy. So it's like an ice spray wand, but it's much cheaper. Okay, so if you don't have ice spray wand and you want to stun people, go for the glue arrow. Okay, if you want to support your team. But if you can get ice spray wand, go for it because ice spray wand stuns them for 5 seconds instead of 1.5 seconds, which is much less. And also the cooldown is 5 seconds instead of 6 seconds. Okay. Alright, so we're going to test out the damage of the glue thing. Let's see how much damage. 6,000, okay. Just a bit less than Ice Arrow because Icy Arrow it does like plus 24 instead of plus 15. The glue one does plus 15. So yeah, icy arrow definitely the most damage. Very good. I just suggest everyone go for icy arrow if you can. Explosive arrow, I'm gonna say this is so bad. Just don't go for the explosive arrow. I'm sorry. They have to buff this. They have to buff this to be useful. Okay? Because even though AoE is very good for clearing mobs and stuff, the AoE in this arrow is so small, and there's also an ability where you can lose 10% of your health if you're in the explosion, which is very dumb because you can accidentally kill yourself by using this arrow, so you're gonna grief your teammates like that. So let me just show you the damage. It's plus 3 damage and it's AoE, so let's see. Let's see, I hit myself with it. Let's see. Hit myself with it again. Look at that. I lose health. Maybe if they buff it somehow, buff the AoE. Look at how small the AoE is. It doesn't even hit the second target. Look, let's hit this one. Look, it doesn't even hit the golden ghoul. It's like next to each other. Like, okay, there we go. They're next to each other. So it's like a very small radius. Not worth it. Just don't go for this. Just not worth it, okay? And it's probably the more expensive bow. More expensive arrow to get. So, not recommend this. I would not recommend this. And then we got the armor shred arrow. Basically, it ignores 5% of the target's defense. It's kind of situational. It's good for angry archaeologists, tank zombies. I don't know what other tanky mobs there are on Hypixel Skyblock, but I just don't recommend this arrow as well because it's very situational. You don't know what mob has a lot of defense, okay? It's more consistent just to use the icy arrow. Just trust me, guys. Icy arrow, in my opinion, just does the most damage. Most useful as well because of the slowness. And then we got the bouncy arrow. Bouncy arrow, not a big fan. If you don't want to aim, if you want to hit one target and hope that it bounces to another target, and it deals less to the second target. So it's not even that good. So, like I said, icy arrow, gotta recommend you that. Alright, let's test out the bouncy arrow. Okay, there we go. It hits 2 targets. Look at that guy. The second guy doesn't even die because it does so much less damage because it bounces to another target and does less damage. And then we got the armor shred thingy, armor shred arrow. Okay, I'm not sure if these guys have armor. Maybe they do. I do 5,000 damage. I think they do not have armor, so this is not a really good test. In general, the armor shred arrow is very situational. Why is this zombie hugging me? Dude, relax. Relax, dude. I'm making a video. Basically, armor shred arrow is very situational. You're not gonna remember all the mobs, okay? You're not gonna remember that this mob has a lot of defense or this mob has a lot of defense. I mean, the most general stuff like archaeologists and the mini boss before the dungeon boss, I guess those have like good armor, but usually not useful, okay? Not useful. So go for icy bow, guys. Icy bow gang. Icy bow. Icy arrow gang. Yeah, icy arrow, okay? Icy arrow is OP. Like, dude, just don't sleep on icy arrow, dude. Icy arrow, even though the combat requirements is much less than the other things, it does the most damage. Single hit. Very useful. Very useful. Much better than other ones. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I didn't really know what to do for this video. I just wanted to talk about stuff and did some damage tests and that's all. But yeah, see you guys next time. Peace out.